Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I'm Heather.
We bring you the good,
The badass.
and the crime.
This is Like Mother, Like Murder.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Like Mother, Like Murder.
Welcome back. Welcome back. No, I'm not going to keep going.
One of these days, you got to follow through and commit.
Brainstorm because we get on, we're just talking, we're like, okay, let's record, and then like Rachel just like jumps in, and I'm like, in that like 2 seconds, I'm like, oh, what am I gonna say?
I don't know, because mine's the exact same every single time. I don't even change like the inflections or anything. Like every single time, mine is the exact same.
As it should be, though.
Forever. Welcome back to Like Mother, Like Murder, and episode 121 for you guys. Dang. Why do I feel like we went from 100 to like 121
Like that?
so fast?
I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. And like we're getting into like fall. We're gonna be doing like spooky season. Before you know
Ready
it, we're
for
gonna
it.
have another like holiday season with Like Mother, Like Murder. It's gonna be legit. I'm super excited actually for it. So
I'm so excited for everything that we have going on right now. I love it.
I
I love
do.
podcasting with you. Do you know that?
Hey, want to start a podcast?
You want to start a podcast? Yup. Did we just become podcasters? Yup. Well, hello, everyone. Hopefully you guys are thriving the way that we are right now and just living your best pre-spooky. We're in the burr months, you know. It is September, and I know last episode you talked about how hot it was. The weather here has been unmatchable. It has just been phenomenal, like the most beautiful. I open all the windows and all the fresh, crisp air comes in, and then it kind of like levels out during the day.
That sounds
it's
so
beautiful.
wonderful. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's still, so luckily we are at like the end of the most ridiculous heat wave, literally newsworthy heat wave that crashed through California and just like was the worst. Today is not supposed to get over 100. It's supposed to stay in the high 90s, and I am so looking forward to it. And then apparently tomorrow it's supposed to drop all the way down to like 80 something. So who knows what's happening? I don't know where this heat wave came from, but I am just glad it is over, baby. Glad it is
baby.
over.
Baby. Love it. Yeah, hopefully it just keeps getting nicer and nicer and nicer. And I'm excited for spooky season. It's time. I had like a flower painting party the other day, and I painted a flower pot into like a spooky little web. And
so cute.
It just got me in the like, now I need to decorate. I need to start getting all the things out and put up and fully embrace the season.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
I do. And everyone else does as well. I did want to say something. So I'm not, no one needs to come for me, Liam. I'm not a pumpkin spice person. I never have been. He just came. He's like,
he's like spinning right now. He's going, what are you talking about?
He knows. I'm going to get a text from him right now that goes, are you talking about me? My ears are ringing. I never have been like a pumpkin spice person, and that's fine, to each your own, right? Like go out and do your pumpkin spice shit. I'm also just not a flavor person, so it has nothing to do with any of it. So I went to the grocery store today and I was looking at the creamers, and creamer is just so expensive. It has just gotten so expensive, and I don't really use creamer very much, but my stepson does. And so I was looking at the creamers, and I ended up getting one hazelnut, but I got a pumpkin spice one, which I don't even know if he likes, but I was like, oh, let me, change it up, switch it up. And so I got it. And just now I ran in there after Heather and I just had a meeting, and I ran in there. I was pouring my coffee and I went to go grab the creamer out of there, and I was like, I'm just going to put a splash of this. And I have like a syrup, like one of those sugar-free syrups that you get from like Trader Joe's or TJ Maxx type thing,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
it's salted caramel chocolate. And so I
Ooh.
have a pumpkin spice salted caramel chocolate iced coffee right now, you guys.
That sounds like really good, but also like very sweet.
So it's way more coffee than it is the
Okay,
other
good.
things,
Good,
but it
good.
is good. It is good.
Yeah.
And it's going to be one of those things where like I'll be good with when it comes to flavor for the next month. And then
Mhm.
maybe I'll do that again someday. So I wanted to share that with you guys.
See, there you go. There you go. See, Liam, you can't get too mad now because Rachel is trying things. She's trying
Maybe
things.
I only tried it because of Liam. Maybe I was like,
Oh,
you know
there
what?
you
Like, I have
go.
to. All right, you know what? We shouted out Liam last episode,
We
so we need
did.
to be
We
done with
did.
him. And actually, I need to shout someone out.
Okay.
Okay. So today, each episode, we want to shout out another podcast that we highly recommend to you guys. And today, that podcast is Perplexity, a mystery podcast hosted by Kadra.
We love you, Kadra.
We do. She does such a phenomenal job, you guys. We recorded an episode with her a couple months ago now where she told us all of the wild things surrounding the Chateau Marmont. And it's a must listen. And so is her podcast. So is Perplexity and Mystery Podcast. So take a listen to the trailer right here, and we will be back with the episode right after.
Love a good mystery that leaves you wanting more? Check out my podcast. Hi, I'm Kadra, the host of Perplexity, a Mystery Podcast. I tell tales every single week that have left me perplexed. You'll hear true crime cases, mysterious disappearances, learn about cults, hear baffling sightings of cryptids, chilling paranormal encounters, and even dark and weird history. I release new episodes every Wednesday, and you can listen anywhere podcasts are available. I'm also on Patreon, and you can even watch me on YouTube. Perplexity, a Mystery Podcast. Stories that will leave you perplexed.
Today, I am going to be telling you about a missing mom from Orlando, Florida, Michelle Parker. Michelle Parker was 33 years old when she was last seen November 17th, 2011. It's been 12 years, going on 13 in November, that this mother has now been missing, and we are nowhere closer to finding her or any closer to holding the person responsible accountable for their actions. Let's get into it. Michelle Parker was a 33-year-old, beautiful mom of three. In 2000, Michelle gave birth to her first child, a son. Her and the father didn't work out and they separated. In 2007, she started dating a man named Dale Smith Jr., and Michelle ended up getting pregnant. And 9 months later, she had two twin girls. Dale and Michelle had a tumultuous relationship. It was pretty bad, which we will be talking about later, but they ended up separating. And at the time of our story, Michelle was a mother of three. On November 17th, 2011, Michelle drove to her ex's house, the father of her 3.5-year-old twins, to drop them off with him. She dropped the two off, but then we don't know what happened next. All we know is that she didn't make it home in time to be there when her 11-year-old son got out of school that day. her family started calling and trying to get a hold of her without any luck. And then that evening, she didn't show up to work her shift that she was scheduled for at the bar that she worked at as a bartender. And again, she's never been seen since. A little bit about Michelle to give you some context into her character and her as a mom. From all accounts, she was a driven, hardworking, responsible mom. She was a mom of 3 who was working hard to provide a life for her kids and also follow the path that she was creating for herself. She worked as a bartender, and that was something that she had done for a while. She was good at it, and it was good money for her. But she wanted more than that. She had her own spray tanning business that she advertised and self-ran. And on top of that, she was in cosmetology school so that she could eventually get her cosmetology license and work in her mother's salon. Being a mother is a lot. Being a mother of 3 is a lot. Being a mother of 3 and working any job is a lot. Add being a mother of 3, working a job, running your own business, and going to school on top of that. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make here is Michelle was a go-getter and someone who knew what she wanted and was going to work for what she wanted. And that's what she was doing at this time in her life.
100%. It's crazy because when you said she had twins, I was already like, oh, superhero.
Superhero.
I can't even imagine. And then you're telling me all these extra things she was doing. And I'm just like, oh, wow. Superhero.
Yeah, she, her family, her friends, anything that I read on her, everyone talks about, first of all, just how much she loved being a mom, but also just how much of a hard worker she was and just how driven she was in life.
For sure.
November 17th, 2011 changed all of that. I'm going to give you the best timeline I can of the day of her disappearance. We will discuss that, and then we're going to get into so much more after that. So, November 17th, 2011 was a Thursday. That morning, her son goes to school. And then Michelle went and got coffee with the man that she was dating at that time. His name is Nathan Mitchell. And after that, we know that she went to her mom's salon, which was located in, I think it's Oviedo, right outside of Orlando. She wasn't at the salon for a very long time. But from there, her plan was to go drop off her twins with their father, Dale. But another thing that happened this afternoon and is a really, really big deal in everything that we're discussing right now is an episode of The People's Court. The show, The People's Court, came out with Michelle Parker and her ex-fiance, Dale Smith Jr. This episode aired on TV this day. It was recorded a couple months prior, but on this day, on the 17th, is when the episode actually aired at 2 p.m. And in this episode, it's what's happening in this episode is Dale Smith Jr. is actually suing Michelle. So the father of the twins is suing Michelle for a $5,000 engagement ring. They were engaged for a while, and they had a fight, an argument where I guess they were on a balcony somewhere. They got in this fight. He asks for it back. She takes it off, throws it at him, falls off. They never found it. So there's that. In this episode, she says he gets pretty malicious and vindictive. After hearing both of these people talk about each other and what this person did wrong and what was wrong with them in the relationship, the judge ends up ruling that the couple is actually going to split the cost of the ring. And the judge says to both of them, you guys are toxic. You guys are, it was one of those relationships where no matter what, you were going to fight and get back into it. That's just what they did. But in this episode, so much comes out about Dale and their relationship, about him cheating, him having affairs with 7 different women, him being abusive, both physically and mentally and emotionally. And so it was just a big deal when it comes to the fact that this episode aired, kind of put out all their dirty laundry.
Yeah.
And then she goes missing later that day.
Yeah,
okay?
that's not, I mean, that, what do we say that there are no coincidences? Like, there's clearly a catalyst for this event, and that seems like it's that.
Yes. Yep. So I mentioned earlier that Michelle was at the salon visiting her mom, and her sister were at the salon, and that her mom, her name is Yvonne Stewart, she says in an interview later that when she was there, Michelle was talking about how she'll never watch this episode. It was the most humiliating experience of her life. She's like, I don't ever want to see it. I wish I would have never gone to record this episode.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, she leaves the salon. She goes to start heading over to the ex-fiance's house to drop off the kids. There are confirmed messages on her phone that she was texting back and forth with her boyfriend at the time, Mitchell. And then at 3:18, a security camera footage shows Michelle dropping off the twins at her ex's condo at their dad's house. The camera, though, only records when someone enters the gate, not exits the gate. So they have footage of her entering, but they don't have any footage of her leaving. 3:30 p.m., Parker's 11-year-old son arrived home from school. Shortly thereafter, he ends up calling his grandma because mom wasn't there. And so normally she would pick him up from the bus stop, and she wasn't there to pick him up that day.
That is so sad and scary.
It is so
That gives me
sad
goosebumps.
and so scary. It is. And so the son, he ends up calling the grandma, and she's like, no, she should be there sleeping. She had said that she was going to go rest before work because she had a shift later, and that, she's probably just in her room sleeping. And he's like, no, she's not here. So 4:26, Michelle's brother texted her and was kind of like, hey, where are you? And immediately, like moments later, he receives a reply with just one single word that said the word Waterford. And
Waterford. Okay.
I don't know how people say things. So I was texting my brother because he lived in Orlando, actually at the time that Michelle went missing. And I was like, kind of trying to get the proximity of certain things. And I wanted to know exactly what Waterford was. And he said it was like a shopping area nearby in Orlando. But Orlando's big, so it kind of hard to piece it all together. But the brother ends up getting this one word text, Waterford. So in the timeline, and this, I'm giving you this timeline that has kind of came out after the fact as well. So some of it, I could tell you what happened that day and what they know that day, but I'm also adding things that have been brought to our attention about, the gate and how they have the video of her going in and out, or not out, but going in. So anyways, according to Dale Smith Jr., his attorney, he ends up saying that at 4:30, he went to his parents' house. And so she had dropped off the kids. He takes the kids over to his parents' house. Michelle's sister at 6:53 tries to reach out to her as well. She's calling, she's texting. She's no longer answering the phone, texting back. She receives nothing. And that's when she ends up reporting her sister missing to the police at 7:20 p.m. that day. 8 p.m., Michelle did not show up for work at her job. It's the bar that she worked at was called The Barn, and it was like a really, really big bar that people would go to in that area. And she didn't show up. And at this same time, her phone was either switched off or died, or whatever it may be.
I don't like
Nothing
that.
would be going through. The calls would not be going through whatsoever. So that's what we know of November 17th, of the actual day of her going missing. So kind of like putting that all together, she goes out in the morning with her boyfriend, has coffee, goes and visits her mom, goes to drop off her kids. After dropping off her kids, she kind of vanishes. No one hears from her anymore. And as I talked to you earlier about who she was as a person, she's not someone who's just going to disappear or take a night off. Like, she was a mom first and foremost, and she was someone who had her life together and she wasn't gonna just go away
Yeah, she had goals
yeah,
that she was working towards, and this
right.
list was not in alignment with those goals.
Correct. So now we're going to get into what we know of the investigation early on. And this timeline will be sourced in the show notes, but I want to say I got this timeline of events from a journalist, David Lohr, and it was first published back in December of 2011. So just a month after. And then it was edited in 2017 with more information that came out. Okay. So this is what we know of the investigation. November 18th, the next day, Michelle's vehicle was found. She had a 2008 black Hummer H3. Okay.
Damn, girl.
Big old Hummer. It was found in a parking lot on the west side of Orlando. But the craziest thing about her vehicle being found is that the decal that she had on the back window, that was an advertisement for her tanning salon or the tanning business, had already been removed. It
Oh.
hadn't even been 24 hours. And the vehicle, it already had that decal removed.
And the last place that we saw that vehicle was when it had pulled in to the ex-fiance's complex, right?
As of what they know right now, that's the last sighting of that vehicle.
So they saw it go in, but they didn't see it come out.
Correct. November 19th, the Florida Department of Children and Families opened an investigation into Dale Smith Jr. after allegations of past domestic violence was reported. But nothing came from this. November 22nd, the police department makes an announcement, the press conferences that they hold, that they have no information. There's no leads. There's nothing that they have that could lead them towards Michelle.
Which is so sad because you're coming up now on the holidays. Like, you're like either at Thanksgiving or like right before Thanksgiving, and there's just it's nothing. That's
right.
So sad and so scary.
It really is. It really is. The next day, the police release a photo of Michelle, and in this photo, she's wearing a cross necklace, and they release this saying that this photo may be a key piece of evidence because they know that she was wearing this necklace when she was last seen. She always had it on, so maybe someone would find this necklace. And then also on this day, there's a bunch of officers, there's a bunch of people, hundreds of volunteers that start to conduct searches in the area where her vehicle was found. And it was in like a parking lot. It wasn't like out in the middle of nowhere. So it was as if someone just went and left it there on purpose.
Right. Yeah.
Thanksgiving Day.
And took the sticker
the
off,
decal.
so it would be less recognizable as her car.
Right.
Although I don't think you can get any more conspicuous than a Hummer, but yeah.
Yeah, they didn't take off the license plate either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they tried. The next day was Thanksgiving, and everyone spent that day distributing flyers and flyers with her photo and information on it. November 25th, Michelle's mother announced that a private donor offered a reward of $50,000 for her daughter's safe return. But there was a deadline of midnight November 27th. So they were thinking at this time that if someone had taken her, because it comes out later that Michelle's mom early on thought that it had to have been some sort of carjacking, so they thought she was kidnapped, and this person put up this money with the deadline of the 27th, but that comes and goes. On the 26th, Orlando police, they serve a search warrant to both. So Dale Smith Jr. lived in a condo, and then his parents' house as well. So they are going to be searching both of these homes because of the fact that, yes, he was there when he got the twins. And then remember, he goes to the parents later that day. And so there's a quote from this article that says, roughly 12 guys piled out, banged on the door, yelled, search warrant, and basically took everybody out of the house. This was from a neighbor. And they took everybody out, sat them in the yard, and then the cops went in and the crime lab went in, and pretty much everybody from all departments showed up. So it was like go time.
Damn,
at
get
that
it.
time. But they found nothing
Oh.
of significance.
Oh, man.
Not a single thing. November 29th. So like I said, the 27th came and gone. That reward's no longer there. On the 29th, the Florida Department of Children and Family Services again claimed that Smith was a significant future risk to his children, and they placed the twins in protective custody.
See, and that was going to be my question. Where are the twins right now that their mom is gone? So they were staying with the dad this whole entire time?
Yes.
And then they were like, no, dad's not okay. He's not going to have them.
But only for that night, because the
For
next
one
day
night?
he has court. The next day he has court, and he goes in there, which the judge ends up saying that, you know, he's fine, he can have his kids or whatever, but not after Dale Smith Jr. allegedly knocks over a TV person who's like asking him questions, pushes him to get out of the way, right? And this person, he had to go to the doctor to like have his injuries assessed because he suffered like scrapes, cuts, elbow pain, all this.
So
kind
this
of stuff.
wasn't just like a here, move out of my way. This was clearly
I think it was
like See, and
yeah.
this is he's already got a history of this behavior. Like there's already been
you are
going to
hear some history of this behavior.
And this guy gave him those kids back. What in the world were you thinking?
He got his
Come
kids
on,
back
man.
the next day. So it was just one night that the kids were taken. And here's the thing. My thing is 100% you want those parents to have those kids and you want them to be involved. Unless they have a pattern, a history of abuse, a history of something.
Exactly.
And because not only is a history of abuse or violence something that is not good, it's definitely not good. But if you add a situation such as this where someone is missing, things can only get worse from there. So I don't understand this. This breaks my heart, which we'll get more into that. So December 1st, actually, the Texas EquiSearch founder, Tim Miller, goes to Orlando to meet with law enforcement to see how they can be helpful to the investigation. And so they start kind of seeing what they can do and working with them. So December 2nd, they start searching different water nearby. And on that day, nothing was found in the water. And then on the 7th, December 7th, her phone was found in a body of water. Okay, so her iPhone 4 was found along with the case that she kept it in. And this body of water was in the exact same, or I shouldn't say exact same. When you look at a map of where this body of water was, you have to leave Dale Smith Jr.'s place to exit that location past this body of water, as if this phone was just thrown out a window into this body of water. Just want to say that. You would think that this would be one of those moments that help and bring answers. But unfortunately, not really. Because after the phone was found, nothing else was. And Michelle Parker has still never been found. No one has been held accountable for her disappearance, and we're left with more questions than answers. Yeah, your jaw is on the floor right now, Heather. And I'm sure so many other people's jaws are dropped as well. And I'm not done. I'm not done. So I'm not ending right there, you guys. But this is an unsolved case. There has been no answers, okay? But we are going to talk about much more right here right now. We're going to talk about Dale Smith Jr. He has been looked into. He was named a suspect pretty early on, but as of now, he isn't one, I guess. He has been in court. His condo was searched, as was his parents' house. He has never been arrested or charged with anything pertaining to Michelle's disappearance. And currently, he has full custody of his children. He doesn't work with law enforcement whatsoever when it comes to the disappearance of his children's mother, and her family is not allowed to see the children.
They can't see the kids?
No, and Yvonne Stewart is working and trying to get petitions signed and just begging for things to change and change grandparents' laws when it comes to stuff like this right
now. This
now.
is making me think of Markel, because the Markels had to deal with similar things, trying to figure out with the Adelsons and stuff. And oh my gosh,
we all know how that's going.
Yeah, but right. It took way too long, but at least justice is still happening with that case.
And hopefully in time, this will as well. The relationship between Michelle Parker and Dale Smith Jr., as I mentioned at the top of the episode, was really rough. They had their fair share of problems, and a lot has came out about Dale Smith Jr. and some run-ins with the law. So Dale was a U.S. Marine, but he was dishonorably discharged after being convicted of criminal domestic battery and drug possession.
Red flag, red flag, red flag.
Red flag, red flag, red flag. His account, when it comes to one of these situations with the battery, is that he got into a bar fight, okay? He gets into a bar fight. When he goes home drunk, his wife confronts him, the wife that he had, so he had two wives before he was engaged to
Red
Michelle.
Flag, red flag, red flag.
So she confronts him about it, and he says that she started slapping his face. He then admitted to dragging his wife out of the house, and she hit her head on the railing while he was dragging her out.
Jesus.
She has a different recollection of this.
Well,
night.
yeah.
She said that he started it and that he ended up throwing her against the metal rail, and that's how she busted her head open. She was taken to the hospital for her head wounds, but not after Dale stopped and picked up two of his friends to go along with him to the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, stand-up guy. These two end up separating, thank God. So happy that she got away from him, even for a little bit, where she ended up moving to Orlando. She became a personal trainer, but unfortunately, she ended up passing away not long after from drug intoxication, which is so sad. And my thoughts go out to, her family. But I only bring this up, though, just it's one of the many issues that he has had or has been a part of.
Right.
Domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Right. And also the drug charges.
Yeah.
And then seeing that happen with her too, it's like, I don't know. I just want to blame him for it. Yeah. Before this, years before, I do have a little bit of a timeline. Look at there. In 1992, Dale Smith Jr. had another run-in with the law where he ended up pleading no contest to attempted aggravated battery after a fight in Orlando, but he was given 2 years probation.
I'm sorry. No contest for aggravated, and you don't even see a day of jail? Come on.
None. Just 2 years probation for him.
Ugh.
Mm-hmm. Then, in 1997, he pleaded guilty to a different battery charge, and he did serve jail time.
What, like 2 days? This is
all
ridiculous.
of this, right? Yeah. All of this from the past of this person who was the last known person to see missing mother, Michelle Parker.
Okay, so I have said this before. I know I've said this before on the podcast, but the biggest indicator of future behavior is past behavior. So when you see a guy with a record like this and you are at least are not bringing him in on some kind of circumstantial, clearly that's an issue. Like clearly this man, the phone is found right by his house. Come on, people.
And not only that, he's allowed after all of these things that they can
There's
look
no
up
way he should have
from
those
his
kids.
arrest. Exactly.
No way.
Exactly.
Absolutely zero reason he should have his kids.
Now with Michelle. So we know that they were on the people's court and they had the issue with the engagement ring. And like I mentioned, she brings up abuse, physical and emotional. She says in the show, right, he cheated on her, had all these affairs with 7 other women. 7, right? And that he would put his hands on her. That's why she left him. That's why she went and took out a restraining order against him, and they denied it and said she didn't have enough proof.
Oh my God.
So the restraining order was denied.
Come on, people. That we have literally talked about this in the past. The amount of women who have been
failed.
Yes. And the statistics of a woman being killed by someone who she attempted to get a restraining order from. This is ridiculous. Do better.
Do better, please. She mentions in the show also that he smashed the window of her vehicle, took out the car seats out of the car, and threw them in the middle of the road.
This is even more like, that is so scary because that is directed toward the children. Like, that right there would be grounds enough if I was a judge to be like, no, you're never, ever. I mean, all of it, if all of it already wasn't, because clearly his behavior should not allow him to be near other human beings in general. But that specific act is towards the child. Like, you're literally taking your child's safety and throwing it in the street.
Yeah, it's not a good thing to do.
Period.
So all of these things, right? All of these arrests, charges. Oh, and then also real quick, let me tell you that also it said that at a time his Facebook said that his education, the spot on Facebook where you can add your education, said that he, quote, studied death, destruction, terror, and mayhem in the U.S. Marine Corps.
Ew. Get out of here.
Is that normal?
That's a psychopath.
Yeah, I would think so. So it just makes you think. It just makes you think. So they don't have enough to arrest him on the disappearance of Michelle. Okay. But with all of that, he's got some fucking problems and a pattern of not being a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
And I guess the thing that kills me the most right now, alongside with Michelle still being missing, is how we said it. He still has guardianship over the twins. Her family doesn't get to see them whatsoever. And I don't want to think the worst, but when someone's choices through life are the ones I just talked about, I can't help but worry, wonder, and question
100%.
everything.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mentioned Michelle's mother, so Yvonne Stewart. We always love a badass mom, okay, who fights and makes changes. But also my heart breaks into a million pieces for Yvonne and any mother who has to feel this pain each and every day, who has to wake up and make it their mission to try to find their child, who shows up daily to try to find justice for her daughter that she still doesn't have any answers whatsoever in. I was listening to a podcast where it played a clip of Yvonne. It was actually, I was listening to Nancy Grace. And they play a clip. She has her panel of experts on there, and they're talking about this, right? And this mom, I'm not going to cry. This mom has to sit there and say, I have to walk up to dumpsters and pray to God that I'm not going to find my child in a trash can. And that's what this mom had to do. And amongst all the other people that are going out and doing these searches, and not just her, anyone who's missing them, you know? So it kills me. Okay. So when Michelle went missing, Yvonne tried calling Dale. He didn't answer. So she called Dale's mom. And in an interview, Yvonne states that Dale's mother seemed bothered by this phone call and was pretty much like, I'm in bed. As if the call that she was receiving about the mother to her grandchildren is missing is an inconvenience to her.
Must run in the family.
Raising a piece of shit because you are one. Eventually, she calls for her son, Dale, and he gets on the phone and says that Michelle dropped the kids off and then she left. That she was there briefly and then talked about going shopping and mentioned Waterford. So the last text from Michelle's phone to her brother, when he texted her wondering where she was the word Waterford. It makes me think immediately on the Scott Peterson phone call, him giving all the details. Hi, honey, I'm here at this time and it's this place and blah, blah, blah.
I have chills.
Right? Planting an alibi.
Yeah.
Which he's guilty. I mean, sorry, he's guilty. Okay. Anyways, and the same thing when I talked about Brooklyn Farthing the other day, or a month or two ago, who we just covered, right? Which I'm going to also be going a deeper dive eventually. But her text about a party in Rockcastle. And then the one person who I believe is the guilty one giving that information when being questioned about her disappearance. Right. I just find this pattern that we see in disappearances to be so significant when it comes to the possible person responsible planting this information.
Planting it, yep.
So for that to be the last text and then him tell her on the phone, I don't know, she mentioned Waterford. Oh, did she? Did she really? So, anyways, let me bring it back down a notch because don't
hype. Keep it up because you're right. You're right. Like you see this pattern and it's suspicious as fuck. I mean, come on now.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. I talk about her vehicle being found in the parking lot that next day and how the decal was taken off the Hummer. But guess what else? 2 years later, surveillance video comes forward of Michelle's Hummer at a red light at 11 p.m. the night of November 17th. And in this video, the decal's already taken off.
Okay, so whoever was driving that car, not Michelle.
Definitely not Michelle.
No.
And I would think, did that decal just get taken off? Did you drive past the street that you threw a phone out your window and go try to ditch the vehicle? That's kind of how I'm piecing things together. Whoever took that decal off the car is the one responsible for her disappearance.
Yeah.
They wanted either time before the vehicle was found or they wanted time to get their story straight. Either way, they've had the time because it's been almost 13 years since she's been missing. That's all the time in the world. Lack of concrete evidence is the only thing keeping Dale Smith from being arrested. But there are two other theories that have circulated around Michelle's disappearance. The first one I mentioned earlier that was thrown out by Yvonne, her mother, was a possible carjacking. Orlando is a busy, busy place. In my very unprofessional opinion, not that it never happens, but I just find it a lot less likely than a better ex-fiance. But if she dropped the twins off at 3 p.m. to Dale and then is driving, it's daylight outside. He doesn't live in a secluded area out in the middle of nowhere. So for her to be potentially carjacked and kidnapped at the same time and then never found ever makes absolutely no fucking sense to me. So I don't see any of that. The other theory is that a bar patron the bar that she worked at, became infatuated over her and kidnapped her. And if that's the case, she could still be out there. This person could have her and have gotten away with this for all of these years. And that's a sick, disgusting, fucked up thought, but it happens.
Yeah.
JC Lee Dugard taken in plain sight, daylight for everyone to see, gone almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Right? And if that's the case, we need to talk about Michelle more than ever. Share her pictures more than ever. Have everyone see her face and know who she is, and help to expose the fact that so many people are missing and deserve to be found. So when you're sitting at a diner and you look over and you see someone looking uncomfortable or scared, when you see someone grabbing someone else and forcing them into a vehicle or a home, when you see something that is concerning, you take note of it. You speak up about it. You take the time to look into it and see if there's anything that can be done about the situation. Here's the thing. We live in a world where bad is all around us, where there's hate and negativity and problems everywhere we look. So much that sometimes we see something and say, it's not our problem. And maybe 99 times out of 100 would be absolutely nothing. It's maybe nothing. But who knows, if you look a little longer, if you take a mental picture, if you listen a little harder, something will pop out and be the thing needed to bring a loved one home, to help someone who has been fighting a fight they shouldn't have been in the first place. I wanted to add a couple statistics right here from an article published in February of this year. And I didn't even ask Heather for help in the statistics department.
You got this.
An average of 2,300 people are reported missing every single day. In December 2023, according to the NCIC Missing Person and Unidentified Person Statistics, the missing persons total was 96,955 people in December of 2023. If your loved one has ever gone missing, if your loved one ever did go missing, you would want every single person to search for your child, your mother, your grandfather, your niece, your friend, whoever it was. You'd want the world's eyes looking for that person. So when we share these stories, when we talk about these missing people or these cold cases, we're looking for someone's loved ones, and we're searching for answers by raising awareness and spreading their information. So we ask of you, when you see a missing persons flyer or article or report, share it. Michelle Parker was last seen November 17th, 2011 in Orlando, Florida. She is a mom of 3. She is a daughter, a sister, a loved one, a friend. If you have any information that could lead to finding Michelle Parker or anything that could help investigators find answers to what happened to Michelle the day that she was last seen, please contact the Orlando Police Department at 407-246-3975. The family has an active Facebook page that you can follow at Michelle Parker Missing Person, and all of this and everything from today's episode will be sourced in our show notes.
Rachel.
Well, sorry.
I'm gonna.
I was like, do I?
One quick thing that I want to say. Okay, a few quick things that I want to say. You did an amazing job, not only with Michelle's case, but also explaining the importance of, like, we're all in this together. We really are. And like you said, at this point, much of the human race has just become desensitized to the horrible things going on around us. But we have to fight that. We have to fight that. We know what is and is not okay. And if all it is I don't like what I see, I'm gonna call it in. That could literally save lives. And like you said, it's you would want someone to do that for you. It's the golden rule, right? And we as humans need to remember that. We live in a society where we rely on each other. And that I'm just so proud to do a podcast with you, because you are just amazing. explaining, the importance of this and really, really highlighting that. So I love you. Great job.
I love you too. Dang, like you saying that makes me want to say something else about the being desensitized to stuff.
Mhm.
So this is not in relationship to this case whatsoever. But locally, Saturday night, we had a shooting occur. And I didn't even know it was happening. I got a text from Kylie from Primetime Crime checking on me to make sure I was okay. And I was okay. I was at a bonfire with my feet up, enjoying my night, right? And so I see this, and instantly I go onto Facebook, because that's where most of the news comes out faster than anything else. And I see update after update after update, people posting, people sharing of a shooting on the I-75, probably like 20 to 30 minutes away from me, of a person on the overpass shooting into vehicles. And now it's still going on. There is an official manhunt. They're trying to find this person, and schools are closed down in a lot of the different counties nearby as they search for this person. Okay. And the whole thing with this too, it's insane. I'm not going to get into all of those details, but I was reading on Facebook later, because how we said it, there's so much bad, there's so much negativity, and it's there. It's not going anywhere. That's not going to go anywhere. But what we can do is we can do things to be positive. We can do things that are helpful, that are good, to show people that still is something in this world. Okay. And so I'm sitting on the couch. I open my phone and I see a message that was shared from one of the local journalists in the area that said, semi trucks made, damn it, they blocked a school bus on all four sides so that this shooter couldn't get to the school bus. And they said, huge shout out to those semi truck drivers. And that's the kind of stuff that makes you still believe in good people.
Yeah.
And I just want us all to be good people,
Yeah.
Damn it. Okay. You guys, thank you all for tuning in and listening each week. We love this Like Mother Like Murder community, and we appreciate you guys all more than you know. We will talk to you guys next Tuesday on next week's episode of Like Mother Like Murder. Until then, be a good person. And if not, I'm going to punch you in your face. Okay? Okay. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye. Thank you all for listening. If you are enjoying the show, please consider leaving a 5-star rating and/or review wherever you're listening to your podcast. It truly does help more than you know.
Also, sharing Like Mother Like Murder with your friends and family is huge. Like Mother Like Murder is an independent podcast, and it's entirely produced by Heather Northcraft and myself, Rachel Holloway, including all of the research, editing, recording, and hosting. All of our episodes are available for free wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube.
And if you ever want to find a way to support the show and the hosts, ratings and reviews are definitely our favorite. But we also have a merch shop with shirts, cups, bags, and much more that you can find on our website, likemotherlikemurder.com.
And if you want to support us, there will be a link that is newly available that you can find in today's show notes, where you can donate any amount to the show to help us with cost of production and help us attend events such as CrimeCon.
We will talk to you all next Tuesday on another episode of Like Mother, Like Murder. Okay, love you, bye!
Okay, love you, bye.